We have lots of control over the way that objects are selected in our Revit models, and we have several toggle switches that control specific kinds of selection. And I'd like to talk about that feature right now. It's important to talk about them now because we want to get the settings in their default state, and then we'll talk about them in more detail when we get to the chapters that discuss the specific features. So I'm in a file called Selection Toggles, and I have a few features in here that we haven't discussed yet, such as a linked Revit file, which includes these trees that you see out here, an underlay, which is another floor plan that's sort of laid over this current floor plan, and that's this gray information here. And then we have some column grids over here, and we're going to talk about all of these in future movies. The selection toggles is what I want to focus on right now, and we can find those in two locations in the interface. So the first area is down here in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, and the other location is right beneath the selection icon here, the Modify tool. There's a small drop-down, and you can see the same 5 elements here. Here they have checkboxes next to them to indicate whether they're on or off, and down here at the bottom they have the small little X icon if they are toggled off and no little X if they're toggled on. So out here I have the Revit link, which is just another Revit file which has been embedded into this current file. And you can see if I zoom out a little bit that if I click on it, the entire thing selects the trees, the property line, everything. If I deselect it and toggle off the Select Links feature, you can see that I can no longer select either by the trees or at the property lines. That linked file is no longer selectable. I'm going to zoom back in. Here you can see that I am able to currently reach in and select these grayed out elements, which are actually elements that are down on the first floor plan of this building. But if I use the selection toggle and uncheck Select Underlay Elements, notice that down at the lower right-hand corner, a little red X now appears on the second icon, so you can do it in either location. I can no longer select those underlay elements. And finally, if we look at any of these grid elements here, you'll see in the center of them, they have this little pushpin icon. That's a feature we'll talk about in a future movie, but it means that those elements are pinned, which just simply means that I can't accidentally move them. Okay, I'm not able to move those objects. If you also want to prevent those objects from being selected, then that is the Select Pinned Elements toggle, and now I can't even select those pinned elements. So the main reason to raise these issues right now is you'll notice that I've got a little red X next to all of those features right now. If you toggle those off at any time, they're going to remain that way until you come back and re-enable those features. So your settings may vary from mine. So for now, what I'd like to do is get us all on the same page here, and I want to have these first 3 elements toggled on. We want to have elements by face turned off and drag on selection also turned on. So these 4 checkboxes are on, this one is off, and that's the default behavior if you were to install Revit fresh and clean straight out of the box. So for now, let's make sure that all those settings are set that same way, and then in the future movies, when we talk about each of those features in a little more detail, we can come back and revisit those topics.